So, information management checklist was developed last year and we already piloted in several countries, and based on the pilot we have adapted it to the second version. We are planning to use the checklist in its current form. However, once there are new advances or new tools being developed, we will be updating the checklist. So let's say that it will be constantly updated, and every time you can get the latest version at the link here, nutritioncluster.net resources IM checklist. The link will be permanent, but you will be always able to get the latest versions from this link. The checklist was developed to be used by both national and subnational clusters to review performance in information management. I'd like to stress here that it's not to evaluate the performance of information management officer, but actually to see how information management function is carried in the cluster and what are the opportunity for its improvement. Usually when somebody from global nutrition cluster is deployed to country and should evaluate the information management and propose improvements, we use this checklist and based on it we developed an action plan on what should be done in order to improve the information management function. Again, this action plan is developed with the information manager in the country, with the cluster partners and everybody who is involved in IM. However, we would like also to stress that this checklist should be used also in a country for their internal audit and review of their system. We have used it as a GNC in countries, and we had also IMOs using it in some countries, and the feedback was positive, that it really helps to see what should be done in IM and how it should be improved. It's built as a table. You can see information management outputs of functions which should be evaluated, the questions how you evaluate this output of function. Then you can see whether it's applicable for national or subnational cluster, so you can use this checklist as for national evaluation and for subnational as well. And in the last column you have good practice, so how it should be carried in the cluster. I'd like also to say that this is not best practice always, this is good practice. There can be practices in some countries which are better than what is described in this information management checklist. However, this is the minimum which is, if implemented in each country cluster, it would mean that the information management function is carried out in a proper way. So just to give you an example, we start, for example, from human resources for the information management function. And to see whether the human resources for this are sufficient, you have several questions. Is there information management for the cluster? And you have a good practice, which says that in a complex emergencies, especially level 3 and level 2, recommended to have a dedicated IMO at national level, sometimes even at subnational level as appropriate. Also in protracted and sudden onset emergencies with big number of people in need and a big number of operational partners, it's also recommended to have a dedicated IMO. In smaller emergencies, it's possible that this function can be fulfilled by cluster coordinator or monitoring evaluation specialist or somebody else. Then there is a second question of, is the role of the information management officer clear? And then there is a good practice that there should be a terms of reference where it's described. The terms of reference can be as a separate TOR for the IMO, or it can be a part of other terms of reference of the person who is carrying this function. And when we have a tool which we developed for the current output or function, we always give a link to the tool. So for example, here you see that we have a generic information management officer TOR and the link to this on the GNC website. Even if we are going to update this, all the links will remain the same, so anytime you can just go to this link and download the latest version of the tool. And then so on, you have other questions to answer and good practices. So usually when you evaluate, what you would do, you would ask these questions. You would see a good practice if it's what actually happening in the country. If it's not, you would see whether actually it makes sense for your context to follow this good practice, and if yes, you will have to create an action plan on how you are going to do it. For example, you have an IMO, however there is no clear IMO TOR, so you would put in your action plan that by this date the TOR should be developed or clarified or reviewed or so on. And so on. It goes for 20 pages, and I know it's it's a lot of pages, but it's only because good practice is described there, with all different IM outputs and functions. Just want to say that sometimes if you click on some of the links, you would not have tool yet, because it's not developed. It's like only in 2 or 3 cases. So don't think that it's because the link doesn't work, it's just because the tool is not there yet. But almost all other links to our IM toolkits currently are working. So if you go, for example, monitoring and evaluation framework, I just want to take this example because we are going afterwards to see the monitoring evaluation framework. So you have again set of questions which you have to ask. If it exists, what template is being used, was it reviewed or developed concurrently with the humanitarian response plan, are partners aware of it, were partners engaged in the framework development, and so on. And then you would have, because monitoring evaluation framework all normally developed at national level, you would have that it's applicable for national and not so applicable for subnational. And then you would again have good practices and reference to the tools. And so on. Just as a note, at the end of the monitoring evaluation framework, we put a note that information management links with the cluster lead agency and with subnational focal points should also be evaluated. However, at this point, we did not develop the part of the information toolkit on these links because there are many different practices in countries and there is no standard way of how better to do it. However, it's possible that one of the latest versions of the IM checklist would include this as well. And there are also additional observations for the tools which were not included in the IM checklist. The first tool is the handover report, which we developed specifically for the information management officer, and which set the structure of how the handover report should be structured. Also, there is a link to a comparison of available free online survey tools such as SurveyMonkey for you to choose from if you need to do a survey of the partners. And the latest one is a link to the guidance on the style guide. I'd like to talk a bit more, just maybe 1 minute, about the style guide because we don't have a dedicated webinar on it, and it is important that you are aware of it. I'm trying now to open it. Here it is. So it's a very short style guide, 3 pages only. The objective of it to ensure that all the documents and materials that's produced by the country clusters are easily recognizable, in addition to promoting consistency in format and style. So we recommend to use this style guide for all the documents which are produced by the country clusters. It includes information on the logo and which logo should be used in country, also on the text formatting, on the colors to be used, on the tables formatting, all the abbreviations, photo credits, numbers, and so on. It also includes templates for the letterhead template, which should be used for the nutrition cluster Word documents, PowerPoint presentation template, again for the nutrition clusters, and Excel with the color palettes. It's all included in the zip file with the guidance which you can get through the link in the IM checklist. So this is main thing which I wanted to say about checklist, just to mention that all the tools are available on the nutrition cluster website. And if you go to tools and resources and then you click on IM toolkit, you will be redirected directly to the IM toolkit. You can navigate it through the menu on the right, and it includes 5 different categories: needs assessment and analysis, information management tools, strategic planning IM tools, resource mobilization IM tools, monitoring and reporting, and general admin tools. Sometimes one tool can be tagged into 2 or 3 categories depending on what tool is it. So you can narrow down your toolkit using these links on the right, or you can just go, when you go to IM toolkit, you go to all the tools we have on the website. Currently, you are not able to download all toolkit as one folder. You would need to go to the website and download it one by one. We've done it because we are updating them. Well, we are planning to update them on a regular basis. So we thought that if we just have one link where you download everything, and then somebody would download and never come back to the website to check on other tools, and you would be using the tools which are outdated at some point of time. So we thought that it's better to have tools one by one on the website. So I think this is everything I wanted to say about IM toolkit, and I'm not sure why I can't see. Oh no, I'm still recording, which is good. Do you have any questions on the IM toolkit?
Nope, negative.
Sorry?
No question as far as I'm concerned. It's all good. Thanks.
Okay. Anybody else? Any questions on the IM checklist? Okay.
No, it's okay.
Great.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, Anna. Is the checklist supposed to be updated by e-tool projects?
No, e-tool projects, it's a separate project which only includes reporting module and 3W module, and possibly dashboards which will be connected to it. So maybe when we develop it, which will be most probably in 1 year, hopefully, we will just include maybe 2 or 3 lines on this e-toolkit projects and the new developed tools to the IM checklist, but as such it would not have much influence on the checklist. Okay, do we need to adopt all the tools in the toolkit? Very good question. You don't. If you think that you have tools in the country which are useful for you, and in your context maybe your partner reporting tool is much better than the one we developed, you don't need to adopt it. This is just for you. If you want to have a tool, you go and you use a tool. If you don't want, you can develop your own tool. So we don't reinforce use of the tools, but be aware that if everybody is starting using similar tools, for us it's much easier to provide you support. Also for IMOs, when they're moving from one country to other country, it's much easier to actually start understanding what is happening in the country and start working on these IM tools. But it's a decision of each country. You might not use any tools from the IM checklist. Any other questions? Okay. Oh, there is a minimum number of tools for different levels of emergencies. No, there is no. However, it's a general understanding that when emergency just start, you use very simple tools and minimum number of tools. For example, you would start from 3W, which is very light version, contact list, partner reporting if you have something to report. monitoring evaluation framework, and then when emergency develops, like in 2 weeks, in 4 weeks, in several months, you would have more and more tools, and they will become more and more complex. But as such, there is no minimum recommended number of tools. Any other questions?